welcome back to my channel. Before we get started, I want to give a huge thank you to everybody who watched my last video and subscribed. I didn't expect it to do even half as well as it did, and I'm just in shock that this many of you are interested in this. Today's video is something that may be obvious if you've been sewing for a while and you've already figured it out, but for those of you who haven't, I know for me it was a huge thing that when I figured it out, it really improved my sewing. So today's video is going to be about how to draft a pattern if you have an asymmetrical body or some kind of spinal thing that makes your body lay different than normal. So as you can see here, I've got my mannequin and she's all padded. Here's where a shoulder blade might stick out. Here's where a back might not have any kind of sway. And here I've simulated if a hip sticks out a bit more than the other. My assistant isn't padded the best here. She's got the exposed padding, it's just held in with pins. But that's because this is just sort of to give you a general idea. If you're actually padding your mannequin, do it better than this. If you don't know how to pad a mannequin and you'd be interested in seeing me show you how to do that, let me know in the comments and I will make a video all about padding mannequins. So, normally when you take a measurement, you just go like this. But if you're taking a measurement for a fitted garment and you have a person who's built like this and you take your measurement like that and then try and design the pattern just based on that measurement, it's not going to fit right and you're going to spend a lot more time doing alterations and mock-ups. Even if you're a person with a more or less symmetrical body, you're not a tube, and just going like this isn't going to give you an accurate measurement. Taking that and just splitting it in half isn't necessarily going to give you an accurate measurement for your back versus your front. Much better off going from side to side like that. However, with an asymmetrical body, you're going to want to break it down even more. So maybe from the center of the back directly to the side, the top of the back directly to the side. Really split things up. The super nice thing about this method is that you don't necessarily need a mannequin either. You can still take most of these measurements on yourself without much difficulty. In the back where you may have difficulty, it helps to use a mirror. Potentially this is where a friend can come in handy if you have one. If not, it can be managed. It's just going to take a little bit of finessing. If you're going for a super structured garment like a corset, you can break it down even more. When you drape a garment, one of the things that's recommended to do is to section it off piece by piece. There's no reason you can't do that with a corset. You can absolutely drape a corset pattern. Draping a corset, you're just going to do it just like draping any other garment. All I've got here is some black ribbon, and I'm just going to take it. First, you're going to establish where you want the back to sit. Figure out how low you want it to hit. I'm going to go right about here, and then you're just going to pin it in place for now. Go all the way around to create what the top line is going to be. I'm not going to pin it super well in the front since I'm showing you more on the back, but all of these techniques can be applied to the front too. And then you're going to start figuring out where your panels are going to go. So you might put one, you're going to want one back panel, potentially, going from here to here. And you're going to want that panel to be one panel from here to here maybe. And then you're going to leave a gap where your lacing is going to go, perhaps, and that'll go to here. the record with any kind of physical abnormality you're dealing with, particularly asymmetry, I am a huge advocate for draping pretty much anything you can. I very rarely pattern just from measurements and am much more likely to completely drape whole garments on myself or on my mannequin like this. I would recommend also doing a line where you want the corset to end before you get started, because this may not turn out exactly how you're... So I'm going to go ahead and finish draping this real quick, and then I'll show you the finished product. Draped pattern. I'm trying to rotate her. She doesn't want to rotate. You can also see where I ran out of black ribbon and had to sub in some snowflakes, which once again goes to show that it doesn't really matter what this looks like because nobody but you needs to see it. Or perhaps you prefer the snowflakes and that makes you work better. Either way is fine. Once you get to this point, you have a few different options. You can either measure out your individual panels and transfer them to paper and then draft the pattern that way. Or if you're me, you can make your first mock-up directly on this mannequin, pinning the seams together where they hit here, and then trying that on and making alterations from there. Either way, when working with asymmetry, a lot of the same tips that I gave in my last video apply. Put boning in places, but don't be afraid to take it out and sub it in for other materials, such as cording, such as just using a very stiff starched fabric, whatever works with your body. Garments aren't supposed to cause you pain. And also do mock-up after mock-up after mock-up. The more mock-ups you can do, the more likely it is that your finished product will fit how you want it to fit. With your mock-ups, it can get expensive doing boned garments, particularly if you have some kind of busk or anything like that. I recommend, as I think do most people that sew, harvesting what can be used from those mock-ups. So if you've used the busks and the boning in a mock-up, there's no reason that those can't be taken out and reused, with the exception of if boning has now been cut too short and it needs to be longer. All right, and that's all I have for you today. If you liked this video, please like and subscribe. Please comment in the comments if you have a condition or type of garment you'd like to see. Otherwise, I hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you all next week. Bye-bye.